say boa noite a todos. Como estás? Tudo bem? Do let us know. It is our Portuguese language and culture session that we do on the first Thursday of the month here at Expats Portugal. Tonight, travel like a local, and of course, a free language lesson thrown in. So any questions, anything that you found curious about the Portuguese language and or the Portuguese culture, we have a great authority to help you with the answers to all of those questions tonight. Filomena Pascoal, who is with us from Miranda de Córdoba in central Portugal tonight. Lovely to see you, Filomena. Tudo bem?
Sim, olá, boa tarde. So that is the first lesson.
Yes.
Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, the usual greetings in Portuguese. And we say bom dia in the morning until we have our lunch. So it doesn't depend on the time. Everything in Portugal depends on the food, isn't it? So it's just on the food. So until you have your lunch, you say bom dia. Then after your lunch, you say, well, and Portuguese usually have lunch between 12:30 to 2 o'clock. And so after your lunch, then you start saying boa tarde. Like now, it's still boa tarde because it's still daylight. So we start saying boa noite when it's darker. But now, because it's still daylight, it's boa tarde.
Jerry and I have had our dinner, not together.
Well, but no Portuguese, I'm sure. No Portuguese has had his or her dinner yet because it's too early for the Portuguese.
Jerry, we failed on a technicality, thinking we were really smart saying boa noite.
This is a totally new one. I thought I'd cracked it, Carl. I thought I'd got my head around this. Now it matters about whether it's light or dark.
Jerry, yes. Guess what? It depends. It depends.
It always depends. Always depends. No, but even, and we have done some webinars about restaurants, and you know that if you want to go to a restaurant to have dinner, you can never do that before 7:30. At least, of course, if we are speaking of a traditional kind of restaurant, not the big chains, but not in a shopping mall. But if you want to go to a, let's say, traditional restaurant, they are never open before 7:30. Or even if they opened at 7, they won't start serving until 7:30, 7:45. So
some habits die hard though for us foreigners. Jerry probably had a salmon or a sardine paste sandwich at about 5 o'clock with a cup of tea, right, Jerry?
Well, no, I had a smoked salmon sandwich for my dinner tonight.
Excellent.
And I had it this early so that I could be prepared for you, Filomena. That was the only. You're the reason.
There you go. Fantastic. And talking of traditions, Filomena, this day, the 1st of May, 2025, Dia do Trabalhador. It is Labor Day, the day of the worker here in Portugal, right? One of the oldest public holidays.
Yes, since the 19th century already, but it's a national holiday, yes. And it wasn't celebrated during our dictatorship that we have celebrated last week, the 25th of April, the revolution of 1974. And then after the revolution in 1974, it started to be a national holiday, and it has been celebrated ever since.
Very good. So that's 2 days off this week. One was planned, one wasn't. And yes. I suspect we'll be talking more about the great big Portuguese Iberian Peninsula outage in our premium lounge at 9. I think we'll have a little bit of a review, wash up and see what people thought of that at 9 o'clock this evening.
It was an adventure for me, yeah. I had to improvise lots of things, including cooking.
Yes, but as a natural Portuguese, you just breezed
desenrascar, the verb that the Portuguese love.
Yes, absolutely. Well, if we could come back to that, it's such a fantastic word and sums up the kind of approach to life that the Portuguese have. Our main business tonight is traveling like a local, and I think you've got a presentation for us, Filomena, on that basis.
Okay, so let me see. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing. Okay.
Jeannie, yes, I will say boa noite is used for saying good evening.
Yeah, boa noite can be both good evening and good night.
Yeah, There you go,
Yeah,
Jeannie.
it's valid for both.
Quickie
We
question.
don't have a different way of saying good evening and good night. Okay, boa noite is good evening and good night. Okay, so today we can speak about public transport in general, taxes and others. There are also other, rather than taxes, like the Uber and things like that. Okay, so shall I start?
Please do. Over to you.
Okay.
And everybody else, please get your questions coming in as well. And anything occurs to you, no such thing as a silly question, and I get to ask it anyway. So I'll take responsibility for that. If you've got a question, and if you want to direct message me, if you don't want to put it publicly in the chat, I'm very happy to have a direct message, and I'll ask Filomena on your behalf.
Okay, so starting with some vocabulary, Portuguese vocabulary. So comboios, trains, comboios. The word comboios has this M at the end of the first syllable that is not to be pronounced as M, but it's to make, what is the verb? Nasalate, right? To nasalate the O. So it's to make the nasal sound of the O. It's just con, boy. So this O-I, comboios, so for trains. Using trains, you can always go to the webpage of CPs, Comboios de Portugal, and you can consult the timetables there. I have an example of the page here. You can choose Portuguese or English, but if you want to learn some Portuguese, you can do it in Portuguese. And so you have horários e preços, so timetables and prices. You can put the origin and the destination, and you choose the date, and you say if it's just a one-way ticket or a return ticket, and you can have a list of all the trains that you have on that day to that destination. And so it's a good way to buy a ticket if you have to buy tickets to use the train. Well, I would like to say that the trains in Portugal are quite good in general, aren't they?
Agreed.
Especially if they are alpha pendular, the quickest ones, the fastest ones, the AP, alpha pendular, or the intercity, IC for intercidades. So they are very good. And so they are comfortable, clean, good service. So I think I can recommend CP as a very good means of transport. So, as I said, when you search for some destination, in this case, for example, I have from Porto to Lisbon, to Lisboa, Porto Campanhã to Lisboa Oriente, and then you have well, this was something that I had, of course, from last year, but this is just an example of the list that you can have when you click on an option like this. So you have, as I said, the AP are the fastest ones, and you can see by also the duration of the trip. So 2 hours and 50, and then other trips, they are for the same distance, they are 4 hours. So they are a lot quicker than others. The IC, intercidades, are also quick trains. And then, of course, the ones that usually are slower, the regional ones, the R for regional and the U for urbano, urban. So in a long journey, of course, I would advise IC or AP. And if you buy the ticket in advance, you can have lots of discounts. And also desconto de 50% a partir dos 65 anos e outros descontos. So if you are over 65, if you are 65 or over 65, then you have a discount of 50% on the price. And there are also other discounts, as you can see here, with the little yellow star, because these are trains that if you buy the tickets at least 1 week in advance, you can have this discount, very good discount. Sometimes it's even cheaper to buy first class rather than a normal second class ticket. So it's quite good, in my opinion, to have these discounts in certain trains. Okay, any
Very good.
questions so far?
We do. Jerry, did you have something to add to train travel?
Yes, thank you. I did want to mention the discounts for over 65. I didn't think you'd know about that, Filomena, because you're nowhere near that age, but some of us are. So I wanted to mention that. And I think somebody's asked if it only applies to Portuguese people. The answer is no.
No.
You can go on if you must register on the site. And
then you just have to
they'll ask you
present
for
your
an
ID.
ID,
Yeah.
a passport number, an ID card, or
Anything
whatever.
with your
And then,
date of birth. Yeah.
yeah, and then you'll be asked to show that when you get on the train. But the other thing I wanted to say, and you might not know this, Filomena, but if you convert this site so that it's in English, it doesn't always find the stations. It gets a bit confused, I think, because they haven't translated or something.
Yeah.
So it's best to look for the stations in Portuguese, not
Yes.
in English.
Yes. I haven't tried particularly with CP, but I have tried other things in Portuguese and in English to see if everything was the same, and it isn't. Lots of times it's not. And so, as you said, it's better to search in Portuguese, and it's simple. I mean, this is very simple to understand, isn't it? The time partida is departure, and then chegada, the arrival.
Yes.
Duração, it's more or less like the English duration. And then preço for the price, the little one and a little a for the first class, and the second class with the 2 and the little a, primeira, segunda. And then bilhete promo, because it's a promotion, so a ticket with a promotion. And then you have the first class, and then a dash, and then the second class. So, for example, on this train, the Intercity, at 6:37 in the morning, you would have a promotion. The ticket would cost 24 euros on the so in first class, but there was no promotion for the second class. For example, in the afternoon at 17:32 for the Alpha Pendular, the AP, you have a promotion in both, in first class 28 euros 50 or second class 20 euros 50. So instead of the usual 47 euros 40 or 33 euros 90. So it's very simple to understand, I think. And then on the site, if you click on the plus, that you have this little circle with the plus, if you click on the plus, you can see all the stations where the train is going to stop. And so you can also see how many stations you should be attentive to, and when are you going to exit. Then if you want to buy, it's just clicking on the other circle, the white circle that you have on the right. Comprar at the top means to buy. So I think it's quite easy to understand, even in Portuguese.
Agreed. A few more other comments and questions. Is that okay now, Filomena? Because they are train travel.
It's up to you. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well, if I can I'd just add another couple of things. I mean, first of all, I totally agree with you, Filomena. If I can manage it in Portuguese, everybody here can manage it in Portuguese. So that's a good point. The second thing I've learned is that it's important to know the train number or the starting station and the terminal station, because often those are the things that are signed. So, for example, you might be taking a train from Entroncamento to partway into Lisbon or something, but it'll be Lisbon that will be the signage, not the prior station.
yes.
So it's
Oh, yeah,
important
yeah.
to know that. Otherwise, it can get confusing. And on the IC, and I presume on the AP trains, I've never been on an AP train, but certainly on the IC, when you book a ticket, you get assigned a seat.
Oh, yes.
Online, you can go in and you can change your seat if you want, but you must go to that seat, and woe betide you if you don't, because you'll
Yes.
get in so much trouble, right?
No, but
Yeah.
and to see where your seat is, don't forget that you start with the right carriage, because
Yes.
the carriages you have to know even if you don't go on board on the right carriage, it doesn't matter, because then you can move within the train. But I would advise to get in the train as fast as possible, because, as I said, these trains are fast, and so they don't stop for a long time. And so as soon as you can get in, you get in on the train, no matter where it is. You just get in on one of the carriages, and then you check which carriage you are on, and then imagine that you are on carriage number 19 and it's 21, so you just have to look for number 21, and then in the right carriage, then you look for your number, and you better sit on the right seat, otherwise someone else can come a few minutes later, and
Shoot.
or another station, and they say, sorry, you are sitting on my seat. So and then you have to move.
The other thing I've learned is that when you get on the carriage and you start looking for your seat, and the other day I was coming back from my seat number was 54 or something, and the carriage started with, it was going 2, 4, 6, and I thought, I'm going to run out of seats before I get anywhere near 54, and then suddenly it stops. It doesn't. It seems to miss 30s, and it goes straight to 48.
Yes.
And there's my seat.
It's a bit it's sometimes I think it's not possible to understand the numbers, because I don't know what the logic is, but you are right. The numbers has no logic. I mean, the numbers can be 23 and then 54, and you can't understand why is the number like this, but it's a fact. Yes, you have to just look one side and the other, because your number must be there somewhere. But and if you can't find it, of course, you can always ask for some help. But yes, you are right. The numbers are sometimes a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And
All right,
then
thanks for
finally,
that,
I would
Joe.
like to say the best tip is to download the app, buy the tickets on the app, and then you can just carry your phone, and you will have the ticket, and the carriage number and the seat number will all be on
Everything.
there. Everything will be on there, and the inspector will actually know who you are, and will come up and ask you by name for your ID. Very good.
It's amazing, isn't it? And they're very
And they
smart
also
as
serve
well.
really good coffee on the trains.
We can't
and
say enough good things about Portuguese trains,
no,
can we?
and there is the carriage with we call it bar, right?
Yes.
With a cafeteria, and so you can go and have a seat and have a drink, and it can be a very pleasant journey.
Mrs. M has brought to my attention that a lot of the gentlemen inspectors that you mentioned there, Jerry, are very easy on the eye as well. They're very smartly dressed. They take a great pride in their work, and I think she thinks they're a rather attractive bunch of fellas.
It's not something I've noticed, Carl.
No, fair enough. She brought that to my attention. And the Alpha Pendula is what AP stands for.
AP, yes. Alpha pendular. Alpha pendular.
They lean so they can take the corners faster, right?
They are the cream of Portuguese transportation.
Well, you can see on an AP, you can actually see how far the train is going, because they have on the screen how far the train is going, and sometimes it's really fast.
But not great when it's come to a standstill. That was for you, Christine. What AP means. Thank you for your help. Dehaney, I think there as well. And,
I have mentioned it before. AP and IC, I have explained before. Alpha pendular and IC for intercidades.
And the U is urbano, isn't it? The smallest train.
Yes, U urbano, and the R is regional.
Regional.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I would like to know which apps I can use to confirm bus schedules. We'll move on to buses, Kathy.
Yeah. We
I'm
are
sure
just
in
speaking
just a
about
moment.
trains.
We're just doing trains at the moment. Can you discuss the difference between first and second class? What are the differences? And we've definitely got a recommendation from Debbie. Hi, Debbie. I found it in first class to be worth it for people over 65. So could you say a little bit more about first and second class, please? Primera y segunda.
Well, I have to say that I don't have the experience of traveling in first class because
Maybe later. Right.
I usually travel on second class. I'm Portuguese. I can't I can't afford a lot, so I usually go on the second class. But I guess probably there is a little bit more space as in a plane. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I think we'll come back to you, Debbie.
What
on that, 'cause
about
you've got some other
maybe
questions.
Jerry has the experience? So I know Jerry
Yeah.
travels on first class.
If
Don't
not
you,
business,
Jerry?
he's in business on the train. Jerry, what do you
I
have to
am.
say
I'm
about that?
working. I'm working. And the next time we travel together, Filomena, we'll go first class, right? You and
Okay.
me, okay?
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
First class. I mean, if you can get the 50% discount, I pay €9 to travel first class to Lisbon. So they're quieter carriages, they're bigger seats. They all have tables. They're always next to the bar, so it's easy to go to the bar and get a coffee or a beer or whatever you want, and a sandwich, and take it back to your seat or have it in the bar, as Filomena said. And also they have Wi-Fi.
Yeah. The second class also has. The second
Sorry?
class also has.
Yeah.
But the second class also has Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually.
Very good. It'd be mean, wouldn't it, to put up some electronic wall screen to stop people in second class having Wi-Fi. Lots of Wi-Fi all over Portugal,
And also,
including on the buses.
and also some tables. There are some seats with tables on the second class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But on the first, you always get a table. I think that's probably one of
Yes.
the key.
Yeah.
Okay. If we've missed any train questions, we will come back to those. Don't worry. We'll move on to buses and autocarros.
Bus, yes. Autocarros. Autocarros. We have that strong r, right?
That's how they sound as well, isn't it? That's
autocarros.
Onomatopoeia.
Autocarros. So in Lisbon, they pronounce the r with their throat. They say autocarros. And here in central Portugal, where I am, Coimbra district, we say with our tongue, autocarros. But it doesn't matter if you say it with your tongue, with your throat. Just say it, autocarros. So for autocarros, there are a few options. You have, for example, Rede Expressos. And this is an example of the site. You can look as for the trains. You put the destination, the origin and the destination, and the date and how many passengers. And you have, for example, if you have if you are over 65, or and so you put all those and then you search and see what you can find. So you have again the list of the buses that you can take to that particular destination. So it's more or less like the train, more or less the same. And the buses are also good. They are also comfortable, and you also have usually well, on the bus, yes, you also have the number, and so you sit usually with a number. So the other and usually cheaper option is Flixbus. So with Flixbus, you can also do the same kind of research and compare the prices. For example, they have different prices according to the time. So, for example, if the bus is at 8 o'clock, probably cheaper than at 10 o'clock or something. So you can always compare and see which bus is the most appropriate for you. And so, for example, from Coimbra, because as I said, I live in Coimbra district, we have this airport shuttle, Coimbra Airport Shuttle, that sometimes it's also a good option if you have to travel to the airport, either to Porto or to Lisbon, or if you have to be picked up from the airport to Coimbra or near Coimbra, because they also have services that so they take the customer to the door, and they pick up the customer from the address. So you can always contact this Coimbra Airport Shuttle and see, and they have a few also online. You can do the simulation and see how much it will cost. But sometimes especially if it's just one passenger or two passengers, sometimes it's a lot cheaper than, for example, taking the car. Because if you take your car and you have to, besides paying the tolls and the parking and the fuel and everything, and sometimes this is a better choice. Also, because it is from your door to the airport or from the airport to your door. So it's a very personalized service. So then, of course, other public transports we have in Lisbon and in Porto, the underground metro, abbreviation for metropolitano, so metro. And you can also access to several informations about the metro in metrolisboa.pt. You have, of course, it's not as complicated as in other cities in Europe, but we have just a few lines in Lisbon. And as you can see, not even in the whole city of Lisbon. So, for example, if you want to visit Belém and the monastery of Jerónimos, for example, you don't have a line that goes that far. But in the city center and also in the newest part of the city since the Expo 1998, this Oriente, so the eastern part, where the World Expo was held in 1998. So from this part near the airport to the city center, it's easy. If you have to travel from the airport to the city center, the easiest way would be the metro. Okay, so again, on the site you also have all the information. And to buy a ticket, it's very, very easy, because if you have a card, if you live in Portugal and you have a card, contactless payment on the card, you can, or on your mobile phone, you can use the card and you don't have to buy anything, because if you just approach your card to the machines there to open the gate, and then it recognizes your card and takes the money directly from your bank account. You just have to approach the card when you get in and when you get out, and then they will immediately know what trip you did, and they are going to take the money from your account directly. So it's very practical. You don't have to worry about buying a ticket. If you really need to buy a ticket, there are also machines in the stations, and in some the biggest stations, you also have a service, a customer service for help. Okay, then about Porto, as you can see here, metrodoporto.pt, it's the website for the underground in Porto. And I would say that the public transport in Porto is a lot better than the public transport in Lisbon. In Porto, it is really, let's say, well covered everywhere. And it's really easy to go from one side of the city to the other, and so as you can see, although the lines are not many, but there are lots and lots of stations that are covered by this system of Metro do Porto, and they are also expanding now, so more stations are going to be available.
Do you know if that's the case in Lisbon, Filomena, with that western side of Lisbon poorly served by the
Yes.
metro? Are there plans to extend there?
Well, I don't know if it's I don't know the reason why, but the fact is that if we want to go to the western part, we have to take a bus. Or if you want to use a public transport, you have to take a bus or a tram. So there isn't much choice. Of course, you can always take a taxi or a Uber.
That's true. Yeah, and very good value they are too. Jerry, did you want to add something to the
Yes, just to add, I used the metro in Lisbon last week, and I was very impressed to learn that with to enter the station, I could just tap my card. I could just walk up to the machine at the gate, tap my card, and then tap my card when I get exit. And I didn't need to buy a ticket. And I presume that's the same in Porto as well. Very impressed with that, and it amazes me how many people were lines backed up, people buying tickets, especially at the airport.
Tourists,
when you don't need them. Tourists, yeah. So you don't need them. Just tap your card or your phone or whatever your pay system is at the turnstile to get into the station.
That's right. Yes. But usually the tourists don't know, so that's why they line up to buy a ticket in the machine, because they don't know.
Guilty as charged. I won't be doing that again.
So speaking of taxis, what we can see a few sentences in Portuguese. So to call a taxi is chamar táxi, chamar táxi. So you could, for example, in the hotel, you could say, podia chamar-me táxi, por favor? Podia chamar-me táxi, por favor? And you have the translation there. Could you call me a taxi, please? So could you call a taxi for me, please?
Filomena, with a Portuguese sense of humor, I'm guessing that I'm surprised Jerry didn't say it. You are a taxi. You're going to get that, aren't you, with some Portuguese people? Can you call me a taxi, please? Yes, sir, you are a taxi.
No.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, all right.
No.
Okay. It's just where my mind went. Okay, sorry.
So you could, for example, when you get in the taxi, you can say, queria ir para o aeroporto, se faz favor. Queria ir para o aeroporto, se faz favor. Or you can just say, para o aeroporto, se faz favor. So you can say the whole thing, I'd like to go to the airport, please, or just to the airport, please. So, queria ir para o aeroporto, se faz favor. Then at the end, when you reach your destination, you usually ask quanto é, how much is it? Quanto é? And this is valid for many, many other places. You can say this at the cafe, if you are buying some product. So anywhere you can say quanto é, quanto é. Then, if you want to give some tip, you can say pode ficar com o troco. You can keep the change. Pode ficar com o troco. The taxi drivers are usually pleased when people say that. And then you can say obrigado if you are a man, or if you are a woman, you say obrigada. And then, because these bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, they are not just greetings, they are also farewells. So you are wishing a nice day, bom dia, or boa tarde, have a nice afternoon, or boa noite, have a nice evening. So you can also say that when you leave. So again, the whole thing in Portuguese, chamar táxi, Podia chamar-me um táxi, por favor? Queria ir para o aeroporto, se faz favor. Quanto é? Pode ficar com o troco. Obrigado. Bom dia. Boa tarde. Boa noite. And I guess that's it.
Taxi.
Okay. So this is what I have on the public transport.
Thank you very much, Filomena. Do you have any comment on the taxi side of things? The classic in the in the way that in the United States, New York particularly, there's the yellow taxi cab. In London, there's the black cab. In Lisbon and other major cities, there's the black and green taxi. That's the traditional taxi.
Traditional taxi, yes.
And Uber and Bolt have come along. TVD, I think they're called, aren't they? The abbreviation.
Yeah, DVTV.
Yeah, and that's so there's that going on. That's the market is being challenged as we speak. Do you have a view on that? What happens if you get the more traditional taxi? They're a little bit more expensive often, aren't they?
Well, yeah, yes, you can say that usually they are probably a little bit more expensive. But yeah, it's
I guess it's the
your
same,
choice.
isn't it? Where you come from, there will be the traditional taxi service and the new ones, the app-based ones. And often you can pay by card. I notice inside some of the traditional taxis now, you might think you can't, but you can actually pay by card quite easily in the green and black taxi, which I sometimes like to take. It is the sort of the traditional way of catching a taxi, isn't it, in here in Portugal? Thank you very much for that. Let's go to some of your questions then. Great stuff this evening. Thank you very much for that. I lost the chat. Where is it? Chat seems to have just. Oh, there we go. Debbie, I thought this was you were weaving in a dad joke here. I just got a news bulletin that a snake tangled itself in a Japanese power line and halted a bullet train. That's not a joke, is it? I think that's probably what you've actually discovered this evening.
No, it was
Is it a
a real news bulletin that popped on my phone while I was on the Zoom, and it's really not funny, but I was amused because of our blackout on Monday.
Right, and it's as if the phones are listening to us, isn't it? Thank you, Debbie. You also actually, what I'm going to do is see if there's any universal sort of questions that we can answer for the recording, and then we'll come back to the specific question you asked us, Debbie, about luggage on trains. There is a chance to hang out, of course, with Filomena.
Yeah, and
oh, sorry,
just sorry to interrupt, but because I saw the picture of a dog, I remembered. If you want to travel with your dog, you can on a train, but you have to take a ticket for the dog. Okay, or for the animal. The animal also has to have a ticket.
Yes. And that's important information. And Debbie, you go into some detail, which I'll cover before we stop the recording on that as well, as an experienced traveler with pets, or with a pet, with your lovely dog there. Bruce, I'm planning to travel to Porto next week. I wanted to take the train back. When I went to buy a ticket, the train station told me there is a strike planned for next week. There was last Monday, but of course, other events took over. Does this mean the trains will not be running, or does it mean they may not be running? What would you recommend there with striking train personnel?
When there is a strike, it's always unpredictable. Sometimes the train can be running, sometimes they can't. It all depends. If the staff on that train is doing the strike or not, because not everyone does the strike. But yes, you can start considering other options like the buses, for example. Yeah.
Thank you. That's Debbie's suggestion as well. Yeah, Flixbus or Rede Expresso. Thanks, Bruce, for that question. Kathy, I would like to know which apps I can use to confirm bus schedules rather than relying on the Maps app. I am using a Navigant monthly bus in Setúbal, bus pass in Setúbal, but I am not sure how far away I can use it. We got on the train to Lisbon and found out we needed to buy a ticket instead of relying on our pass. That must have been a bit embarrassing and difficult. What would you say about that, Filomena? I guess you've got to look at the terms and conditions on the respective companies, yeah?
Yes, I mean, of course, from Setúbal to Lisbon, it's another district, and so if you have a monthly pass, it's probably, and of course it also depends on the pass and everything, but probably just valid within the same district, I would say.
Yes.
But there is, always the customer service where you can ask those questions in particular, because each case is a case, right? I don't know everywhere in the country. I don't
Well,
know
that's
how it
right.
works.
And it's quite deregulated, isn't it? I remember when I lived south of the river in Lisbon, there were a number of operators. So it wasn't easy to get a generalized answer on the local buses. I mean, you've talked about the coaches, that kind of bus, and that's a lot easier, I think, than dealing with some of the smaller local buses. So that could, I guess you might just have to suck it and see on that, Kathy, on traveling on those local buses there.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can't be more helpful. But let's have a more general discussion and see if anyone lives over that way and can help you after we've paused the recording. We've dealt with age discounts, haven't we?
Yeah,
And whether
yeah.
it's just
Not
Portuguese,
just for Portuguese,
citizens or
no.
not, which is great to hear.
It's like and speaking about discounts, it's like the discounts that you can get to visit national monuments, right? So if you are 65 or over, you can choose 52 visits per year when you don't pay. So you just have that credit of 52 tickets that you can have for free if you visit one of the national monuments, and you just have to present your ID to prove that you are that age. So,
Great, isn't it?
and you don't pay anything.
Excellent. Going back to pets on buses, allowed on Red Espresso and Flix, but you must register in advance, as you said there, Filomena. You have to buy a pet ticket on the Red, but not on Flix. Pets must be in a carrier, not on a seat. Don't know about Red Espresso, but on Flix, you can buy a second seat pretty cheap and not have
Yes.
a seatmate. Ah, that's a good hack, Debbie. If you want all of that space to yourself, buy the seat next to you. Interesting. And the airport
Yes.
shuttle you say is great. I've used them twice when I've had a lot of baggage. That's Coimbra to the airport. Very good. Thanks for that offer, Jerry. Some good maps of national train and bus services. Love those sorts of maps. So Jerry's got those, and if you drop him an email at admin@expatsportugal.com, Jerry will send those to you. And Jose Cruz here tonight and already wanting some of that. Already done. Nice work, Jerry, behind the scenes there. And Debbie's got the maps too. Fantastic service behind the scenes there. Fantastic. Is Coimbra getting a metro? I'm sorry to go there, Filomena, because it's been a long, hard journey with this train service to Coimbra.
Just 15 years, not much.
Okay, yeah. And would that be what's called the metro then for Coimbra?
It's called Metro Mondego.
Right,
It's
okay.
called Metro Mondego because Mondego is the river, right?
Yes. And it's Coimbra going out to the east. There's not a service west of Coimbra planned, is there?
No, it's just to Serpins. So Miranda do Corvo, Lausanne, Serpins. The old train that we had 15 years ago, and many, many years, for many, many years, we had the train that was from Serpins and then passed in Lausanne, Miranda, Ceira, etc., until Coimbra. Then we lost it because the government at the time, 15 years ago, decided that it should be modernized. And meanwhile, they ran out of money, and then they have been postponing and postponing. Now they say that next month they will start, at least a part will start, the part from by the river in Coimbra until Serpins. And then the rest within the city is going to take a little bit longer.
I think you stopped believing what they said about 14 years ago, right, Filomena?
Now I stopped believing a long, long time ago. So just when I see it, I will believe it. But before then,
Very good.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward. We should have an Expats Portugal outing and a ride on that bus together, shouldn't we? That'd be awesome to
They
do.
are going to be electric buses. Yes, they are electric buses. Yeah. So
that'll be a hoot doing that one day. Jose Cruz picking up on the fact that on the west side of Lisbon, not so much or not so well served by the metro, but there are great buses and tram services over that way. I was in the Estrella Gardens a couple of weeks ago, and I noticed that I had to get a taxi back to the side of town where you could get the trains and the coaches.
Yeah, sometimes I have also used buses to the western part, And sometimes the buses can be a bit crowded. It depends
Yes.
on the time, but they can be a bit crowded. Yeah.
Yeah, be careful and keep your backpack on
Oh yes,
when you're on
yes.
a busy
Don't
bus like that. It's a bit of a pickpocket scenario.
and even if you are not on a busy bus, I mean, don't
Yep.
think that the whole country is like the countryside or something. It's especially in big cities like Lisbon and Porto, you have to be very careful with your wallet, your documents. So be aware that things happen.
You have to switch up your situational awareness a little bit, I think, don't you, when you go to the big city, for sure, to turn it up a couple of stops. I prefer Uber and Bolt, says Debbie. I know up front what I'll be charged. That's useful to know, isn't it? So you'll know exactly what the cost is if you're a bit nervous about using the traditional black and green taxi. Filomena, this is such beneficial, practical information. I love your clear, crisp enunciation and explanation. Muito obrigada from Jeannie tonight. Thank you for that.
Obrigada.
And yes, Filomena, this really was a great presentation. Obrigada. And thanks, Jerry, the Premium Lounge. We're going to be hanging out together, and I'm sure we'll be talking about the outage of this previous Monday, among other things. If you've got any issues you want to discuss, ideas, suggestions, let's deal with those at 9 o'clock at the Premium Members Lounge. Sign up at expatsportugal.com to be there and to be here and have a chat with Filomena, which is what we're going to do now. So I'll stop the recording now. Thanks, Filomena. Great presentation as ever. First Thursdays of every month for language and culture.